Hello everybody, this is Kevin from KlotzProductions, and today I'm going to do a quick deck tech of the deck that I used at the new Phyrexia launch party. So getting right in here, first card I have is one Elesh Norn Grand Cenobite. As you would expect, this is pretty much a bomb rare if it hits the table. A lot of people are running little guys with 1 or 2 defense, so once this hit the table, it was able to kill their guys and pretty much give me the win. So that's pretty obvious that that's a good card. Along with that, I had 4 Suture Priests. These are pretty much the backbone of the deck. These get these out early, get 1 or 2 of them out, and with all the creatures people were playing, they were losing lots of life, and I was gaining lots of life. And then also with the Norn, it would pump them to 3/3s, which was pretty awesome. But most people feared these and tried to get rid of them as quick as they could because they're really powerful, and I finished a lot of games at 20 life because of them. Next up is one Master Splicer. This is a decent card because it gives you a 2-for-1. You get him as a 1/1 plus the other 3/3, which he actually makes a 4/4, and have other cards to make golems as well, so he was pretty good. Next up is one Inquisitor X Arc. I think it's how you pronounce that. Pretty much always use this guy to take away 2 life from my opponents. I don't think I ever gained 2 life with him. And actually, my opponent was at 2 life one game, and I drew this right off the top and won the game with it. So he was pretty good. Had 2 Forced Worship. These are basically creature removal, but not really. It just kept them from attacking. I would have liked them a lot better if they were able to keep them from blocking as well, but they serve their purpose. Next up was one Porcelain Legionnaire. This is actually a really good card. You'd play it as a 2-drop for a 3/1 first strike, and there's pretty much nothing that could be on the board that'd be able to block it at that point. I actually played against somebody in the finals that had 2 of these, and he did a lot of work with them, so this is a really good card. Next up was 3 Volt Charges. These were probably one of the best cards in the deck, along with the Suture Priests, because they were removal for pretty much anything, since there's a lot of little creatures in the format. And since it had Proliferate, I was able to pump up other cards that I'll show you later on in the deck. So also a really good card. Had one Victorious Destruction. I pretty much put this in here as creature removal because most of the creatures in this format are artifacts, so it's creature removal, but it did cost a lot of mana. But it worked pretty good for me anyway, and I actually used it to destroy my opponent's land once when he was stuck on 3 lands and had a handful of 4 mana cost. So it pretty much put the nail in the coffin that game. Next up is one Furnace Scamp. This is pretty much, the idea was to get him out there on turn 1 and attack before anybody played anything and get a quick 4 damage in there. I didn't see him very much. Actually only did that 1 game to where he did 4 damage, and that was in the finals. If he would have done it more, I think it would have been pretty powerful. But just pretty much a little guy. Next up is the Slash Panther. Pretty much always played this as a 4/2 haste for 4 and just paid the 2 life for it. 1 game he actually kept attacking a lot with the artifact that you can use. Let's see if I can find it here. That taps down their creatures, the Blinding Souleater. I was tapping down their 1 blocker and then doing 4 damage to him every turn, so he did a lot of work 1 game for me. Here's a Shrine of Burning Rage. This is a really good card if I got it out on turn 2, which I did at a couple different games. And along with the burn spells, what were they called? The Volt Charges. Along with the Volt Charges, you get 2 counters on them immediately. So it's like 3 damage from the Volt Charge plus 2 counters. So it's basically 5 damage because of the Proliferate and it being a red spell. So this actually won me a few games. Next up is 2 conversion chambers. I actually added these in later on. I had some other stuff in there I didn't really like, so I switched them out for these. And along with the other creatures that make golems, the other card that makes golems and pumps them, and along with the Volt Charges with Proliferate, these were actually pretty good card advantage for me. Next up was a Phyrexian Hulk. I basically just put him in there as a big guy since I had most little guys in the deck. And he did what he's supposed to do, just a big guy to attack with. Pretty simple. Next up was 1 Gremlin Mine. This was pretty much creature removal for me. I never used it as I never used its ability to remove the 4 charge counters once, so it was always the 4 damage to an artifact creature. So pretty much cheap creature removal for 2 mana. Next up is the Immolating Souleater. I think that's how you pronounce that. Pretty much just a little guy. Wasn't too amazing. Occasionally I would pump him to kill bigger creatures, but it cost me the life. I guess he could have been a decent creature, but he was more of just a filler for me. Next up is 2 Blinding Souleaters. These are what I was talking about earlier, to use to tap down their creatures. These are actually really good cards. I was able to get in with a lot of attacks because of these, and to keep their guys from attacking. So anytime you can tap your opponent's creatures in this format, always seems really good. So I enjoyed these. I actually saw a guy, or played against a guy, that had 4 of them and then an artifact that he could use to untap all his artifacts during your opponent's upkeep. So he basically kept all your tapped stuff forever. Or stuff tapped forever. Last card is a Hovermyr. He's just a flying vigilance guy for 2, 1/2. He's good because he has flying and you can get in there for easy points. So just a good little weenie creature for attacking. I enjoyed playing with him. And finally, getting into the lands, I had 9 planes right here. So yep, just 9 planes. And then I had 6 mountains. So I ran more planes than mountains because all my mountains was just a single mana cost. So it seemed to make sense. And for the most part I didn't really have any trouble casting my stuff. So that's the deck tech. Hope you all enjoyed it, and I will see you all later.